Hello, I'm Santi Darkjet, and this is the making of Chaos Edenia, Evergaol. The album, not the song. If you wanna know what Chaos Edenia is, and you would like to have a full introduction to the project, please go check out the making of Ani Kalaga. You can click here and you can go directly, or maybe here, I'm not sure, or click in the link I'll put in the description of this video. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I really don't like the previous album, Daethik. I feel very disappointed with it. When I started working on the Daethik album for the first time, I was very excited about it. But the more songs I finished for the album, the less interested I was in it. It felt very disconnected and far from what made Chaos Edenia good, in my opinion. It was not a journey through space anymore. It was a more grounded and normal metal album. Or at least that's what I felt, you know what I mean? But then I started working on Evergaol, and everything changed. Once again, I felt that I have that Chaos Edenia essence and that I brought back the formula to create a really good album. So, Evergaol talks about a once very powerful being called Ultu, a cosmic entity that is fed by hate, and its presence causes very unpredictable stuff to happen. Every being that comes close to it gets its hate replaced by chaos and transforms into something that defies reality and the rules of space. An order of almighty gods created to protect the cosmos decided to liberate a war to decide who will have enough power to sacrifice itself and create the Evergaol, an eternal prison made of pure magic and joined to a planet strong enough to contain it. This planet is named Ultu. As you can tell, this album is very different in concept than Ani Kalaga, which it was far more general and less specific. This time is a little bit more focused, like a story. This album is more aggressive, relentless, and rely less on those calm, atmospheric pauses characteristic of Chaos Edenia. It's focused a little bit more on low-tuned guitar riffs and breakdowns. The mix remains almost intact from the Ani Kalaga album. Sounds almost the same. The difference resides in the way the different resources are used. Of course, blast beats everywhere, that's essential. Songs have a little bit more repetition of its parts, and progression rely a little bit more on the lyrics. However, drums will be constantly changing and making the beats always interesting to listen to. That's a promise. So, some of you may remember that not so long ago I had released the song Evergaol, which most of you liked, and I liked it pretty much as well. I think it's a very good song, but after listening to it a few more times, I realized that it's a pretty naked track, in the sense that it's just guitars, bass and drums. So it gets kind of boring after a while, and most of the flair that makes Chaos Edenia interesting to listen to, I think it's the extra spice, the fun stuff. I like to call it the fun stuff. So you may remember that the first release of the song Evergaol sounded like this. It's just guitars, drums and bass, basically. So pretty basic stuff. I know it's very technical, and that's good. That makes it sound interesting. but not interesting enough. So here's the fun stuff. I have been reworking on the track and trying what works and what not, and I came up with this. Check this out. Now this in motion along with the rest of the instruments sound like this. This is the fun stuff. This is what makes Chaos Edenia songs interesting. That's my opinion, of course. And then there's this part. Instruments go like this. Still, pretty technical, pretty interesting, but not interesting enough. Where's the fun stuff? Well, in this case, is traduced in the way of melody and atmospheric pads. You know, Chaos Edenia has a lot of those, and this is a more melodic kind of riff, even being so aggressive and so technical in the way it's played, but it's still pretty melodic. So to emphasize that, I decided to put this thing here. Right? So mixed with the instruments, this sounds like this. You know, it's maybe it's not as prominent, and it's okay. I'm okay with that. I don't want this to be the main focus of the song, but it's still nice that it's there. You know what I mean? At least it makes it more mysterious. You are hearing that in the background, and you are kind of asking yourself, what is that? You know, and that's what I like. It's subtle. It's not too much. It's not too much of the extra flair. It's just the right amount to make it more mysterious. And then there's again this part. With this electronic sound, which I love. So yeah, this is the fun stuff. There are plenty of examples I can show you with this, but I think this one is the right one to show, I think. And obviously there's this stuff that already was present in the original track. These like transitions with special effects that gives impact to the different patterns of the song. In this case, this one. Right. So if you take in account all this fun stuff, all the extra flair and all the sound effects and the impacts and the transitions and the electronic sounds, it makes a whole thing come to life. It makes the whole track more interesting and more unique, and that's what I love about this album, man. I think it has a very strong potential of being the best Chaos Edenia album I made so far. So yeah, I'm really excited, really excited. I hope you like this. Another thing that I think it's worth mention about this new record is that it has some tempo changes in some of the songs, mostly in the breakdown sections of the songs. And it's interesting because I think I never did this before in the previous albums, or at least I don't remember doing this before, and I think it's pretty cool. This is from the 5th song of the album called Contagion, and it goes like this. So it's a pretty noticeable tempo change, and I think it's badass. I think it's pretty sick. And as I said, it's not something that I do very often. So I think it's gonna be pretty interesting to listen to in this new record. Okay guys, check out this riff. I think it's pretty crazy, very Chaos Edenia style, so check this out. It's a pretty weird riff, and I don't know if you can play it in real life. If you can, and if you figure how to play that shit out, props to you, man. I don't know if this is even possible, but this with the rest of the instruments sound pretty sick. Check this out. Triplets, man, you gotta love it. And then with the vocals, I think this song is gonna be pretty sick. Yeah. One thing that I wanted to mention about the vocals is that I actually mix them in a very simple way. I treat vocals for Chaos Edenia in a very simple way. There's one track for the main vocal, then there's a second track for a background vocal, and then there's a third track for some special occasion with maybe some special effect, delay, flanger, chorus, all these like special filters and stuff. When I want to make a very weird voice, I use the third track. So it's pretty simple and it's pretty straightforward. So for example, in this, what I think I should consider the chorus of the song, although Chaos Edenia doesn't really have choruses because it's pretty disordered track composition, but in this part I wanted to make double vocals to emphasize the importance of this part. But even then, those are only two vocals, and they sound like this. Hear that one? That's the vocal that goes in the third track. That's the one for the with the special effects. And these other two, they sound like this.
Dotation of this stupid majesty! Effect these hosts we can for all eternity!
They have a little bit of reverb. It's not overdone. It's not like moody. It's just the right amount, I think, in my opinion. The right amount to make it atmospheric, but not muddy. Yeah, the first track has more volume to it, obviously, because it's the main vocal track, and it has the same amounts of compression and effects than the second track. The only difference between the first track and the second track is that the second track, it has less volume. It's like 4 dBs less than the primary track, and also it has I think it has a little bit more reverb than the primary. So yeah, the primary vocals sound like this,
Dotation of this stupid majesty!
and this is the background vocals. Oh, and the second track also has a de-esser to stop all that stuff to get really over. I don't want the second track to be the one that leads the pronunciation part of the vocals. I want that to be made by the primary vocal, and the second, it's used only for the middle frequencies, to emphasize more and apply more middle frequencies to the primary vocal. So that's what I do, and that's how it sounds. Technical stuff. I don't know if you guys are interested in knowing this stuff, but I thought it could be, maybe interesting to some. So there you go. Still, being the most aggressive Chaos Edenia album yet, it's pretty relentless. I think it's equal as melodic as well. So I said before that there are less calm parts in this album. However, there are still pretty calm parts in the album. It's just there are less present, and they are maybe shorter than in previous albums, and there are less of them. But there are still pretty calm parts and pretty melodic as well, like this one. Check this out. Right? I'm not going to spoil you the whole thing, but there are calm parts like this one, and there's a lot of atmosphere and space among the different songs, but I try to make them less present in the album, or at least shorter and not as much as the previous albums. So it's more focused on the actual riffs, like this one. So yeah, by the way, that only with the guitars only, it sounds like this. That's pretty low, but yeah. And then there's these screams that I recorded, and I think it gives the extra touch to make it even heavier, which I think it's awesome. Sounds like this. Chaos Edenia, man. That's Chaos Edenia in essence. The song list is not finished yet, but it's getting there. 8 songs already finished, mixed and ready to go. I cannot give you right now a release date, but you know how the making of videos have worked in the past, and that means that it's getting released very soon. So be ready. I hope you are excited and I hope you enjoy the album once it's finished. Bye!